Welcome to Office Hours. It is January 28th. Happy birthday to my husband, who is off today, but hopefully we'll get to come home soon. And today we're going to tackle Vellum and looking at layout options, and also we're going to talk about Amazon categories and how that works. So why don't we start with the Amazon categories, Bonnie? I feel like that'll be probably a quicker set of questions to answer, and then we'll do a tour around Vellum. So tell me a bit more about that. What are you looking for?
So I know that there's more than one, that you can put extra categories in your on Amazon, and I don't even know really what categories. I mean, I put it in something. My ebook, I put it in something, but I don't know if it's the best. And I know that there's something I should be doing regarding that, so that I get maximum, so I have maximum value.
Right. Okay, so I am going to post a link to a fantastic article and video that walks you through choosing your Amazon categories, done by Dave Chesson from the Kindlepreneur. And there's a couple different ways of approaching categories. So some people pick categories based on what they think they can rank really highly in, because they're trying to get to the top of a category and stay there so they get that little Amazon bestseller tag. And other people are just looking for a good match to their topic, and they're not trying to hit that #1 slot. So they're not trying to find categories that are kind of underfilled. You get to pick 2 categories when you first sign up your book in KDP Select. You choose 2. If you're using Ingram Spark to distribute or wherever, then they let you pick 3 BZAC categories, which are sort of how the library would categorize your book. So those ones, it's a good idea to do like the best topic match, I think, on those categories, because it's most likely to match you up with the right people in the right place. You can add up to 8 more categories in Kindle by submitting a form, and I will put the link in there for you as well. So how you do that is, there's this article from Kindle, or direct from Amazon, which is about browsing categories. And there's a bunch of information about how to choose, how to add or update them, restricted categories. So there are some types of books that cannot be put in certain categories. Like if your book has any sort of sexual content or anything, like you cannot put a romance novel as a children's book, which seems stupidly obvious. Well, just want to rank in categories, and so they might put their romance in a like fantasy, YA, whatever, but you can't. So Amazon will remove it. So it's good to know what those restrictions are. For your book, Bonnie, in particular, if you're looking at, it's nonfiction, so you're going to want to be in writing and publishing type categories, right? There are a couple tools that you can use to find categories. You can also ask people, like you can hire people to help you choose categories. So one of the things that Stephanie can do, she owns Rocket, which is what a lot of us use to decide what categories might be good ones. And so you could buy it and learn it if you're going to do a whole bunch of books. That's an interesting approach. But if you're finding it kind of overwhelming, then it might be worth just asking her to choose your best categories based on you. You would say, I want to have the best topic matches for most of the categories, and then add a couple that will maybe give me a better chance of ranking, right? Because there might be 14 or 16 or 20 categories that you could go in. And so if you pick the top 5 that are going to get you good topic matches, and then 5 that give you a good shot at ranking, then you've kind of hedged your bets and given both opportunities a chance to work. So for you, I would say this is one of the areas where you can get most paralyzed, because there are so many options and there's so many different approaches and so many different ways to decide how it works. That would be a good thing just to get help with specifically on that. And you can she can do the searches, or whoever you're hiring can do the quick searches for you using Rocket, and it will tell you what is a good category or not a good category. I know that we've demoed Rocket in office hours before, but I can open it up and we can do a quick sample if you want to have a sense of what I'm talking about here, if you haven't seen it before.
Okay, could you do it with my book?
Sure. Okay, so we want to do a category search. That's what we're looking for here. And we want to look for categories that have to do, would you say primary keyword there?
Writing or writing prompts?
Okay, so let's try writing prompts and see what happens. And we've told it to look for both ebook and print book results here. Let's just try writing for a minute. There we go. Okay, so there's a few different things. Okay, there's an update. Great. So there's a few different things in here that it's telling us about each of these categories. So it's pulled up everything to do with writing, and then we can see the chain of categories that this goes into, right? So this chain part is what you want to submit to say where you want to be. Now, it's not really business writing, right? That's not the focus.
Right, no, it's creative writing.
Yeah, okay, so let's try creative writing and see what happens. So there's a few that are specific to creative writing. Oh, it's gonna update itself, sorry. Un momento, por favor. Bigger and better, there we go. So here's one, but this is a children's book derivative, which is not what we want, right? So we want to find books, maybe reference, that has something to do with creative writing. So you scan the categories and you look for ones that fit. So books, reference, writing, research, and publishing guides. That's legit, right? It's a writing. So that's a decent category. And then you're going to make a list of all the possible categories you would want to go in. And this is where we look at the stats. So this one, the ABSR, is the Amazon bestseller rank for the book that is at the top of that category. So that means that the book that's at the top of this category is ranked 179 in the Amazon bestseller list, which is pretty high, right? Like
yeah, that's really hard to match that.
Yeah, so that's going to be tricky. This is saying this is the number of books you'd need to sell in order to be the new #1 in that category. And this is a daily sales. So you would have to sell 221 books a day to take the #1 spot in that category. Now, to get in the top 10, the average rank, or the Amazon book rank for the top 10, 4,340. So that is still high, but more achievable. And the sales to get to #10, you'd need to be selling 25 books a day to get to that #10 slot there. And then you can hit the check it out button and it opens another tab and it'll show you that category and the books that are in it. So you can see how good of a fit your book is and you can see who is competing against you. Okay, so that's the basics of how this tool works. So you're looking for a combination of things that you want a good fit in here. You want this to be not crazy if possible. Like if you're trying to get to the top of your category, then this is what's relevant. If you're trying to get in the top 10, check out this. And then try to drill down if you can. So you can see by going one more category in to authorship, this becomes much more favorable. This becomes way more favorable. You'd only need to sell 12 books a day to be in the top 10 of this subcategory.
Got it.
Okay, so you're comparing which one you think you have a better shot in, but you also want to give some good weight to the ones that maybe are super competitive categories, but are really relevant to what you're doing, because if somebody's looking for a really good writing guide and they go to that category, they may already have the first 20 books. If they're anything like the rest of us, we all buy all the things. So when a new book in a category comes out, even if it's not at the very top ranking, we might own the rest of them already. So
I have a question about this.
Sure.
So, but this numbers must change on a regular basis, right? Because
Yep.
everything's fluid.
Yep. So, I mean, you pick your categories, you put them up, you put a request on Amazon to be added to the other 8 that you've chosen from here, and then you wait and you see how it does. And if you want, you can do a quarterly review of what categories you're in. But honestly, for writing books, like I'll show you the ones that we found here. Let me just find the right thing. But I pulled what was going to be most effective for our Creative Academy books. I did a crap ton of analysis, so I will show you what we did for that. And then you can see there's like 14 or 15 categories that fit all 3 of our first Creative Academy books. And then we just them slightly to, because Eileen's is more about building the characters and Donna's was more about writing itself, and mine was more in like publishing side of things. So we had a bunch that were shared and then a bunch that were specific. Let me just find the document here. Okay. All right, so in here, for each of the books, I did the same searches for keyword phrases as categories, but these were the categories I identified as going to be the most effective. A lot of them are just subcategories of the same category, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's just once you find like the best match on the top end, you can drill down in there. There are options that are different. So like there's string, books, reference, writing and publishing guides, and then specifics at the end. There are other strings that can get you to a similar place. So like, let's see. So you can go like books, romance, writing. So it could be books, nonfiction, writing, because it's a nonfiction book about writing, as opposed to writing and publishing guides and then a specific subcategory, right? So it is good to have a couple different access points in your categories so they aren't 100% under the same category, because me as a writer is going to go in and look for a genre and then a book about how to write that genre. That's a very different pathway to find it than to be looking for writing and publishing guides and then the guide from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And also, something I read at some point said that to think about the kinds of things that people might put into a Google search or something like that. So things I came up with was writer's block, new to writing, teach creative writing, learn creative writing, but I don't really know how those fit into
So
this.
those are your keyword phrases. Those aren't your categories. Those are your keyword phrases. And what we could do, so give me one of those you just said.
Writer's block.
And we're going to look at what keywords it's got in here. So writer's block, analyze. Come on. Give us some stuff to work with here. Can't tell if it's just really slow loading or what.
Or it's a terrible keyword.
Well, no, because it's pulled up. These are all search terms that people look for. I don't know if it's just really slow because we are doing other stuff. Let's try another one and we'll see.
Learn creative writing.
How about, Let's try a broad one and just we'll see if it's working at all. So we just did an update. Sometimes weird things happen. Okay, so if you look at writing, this is the number of competitors who have used that keyword. Books with this keyword earn an average of $709. That's the top ranked books in that keyword. This is how many Google searches per month there are. This is how many Amazon searches per month there are. And this is the competitive score. So 100 is the hardest to rank for that keyword, right? And 0 is the easiest. So writing prompts, now that's a pretty specific keyword, right? That's great. So not as many searches, way less competitors, average monthly earnings are lower, and it's not as competitive. But it is specific and accurate because what you are the right people to find your book with those keywords and then purchase it. So, you know, depending on what is more relevant for you.
But these are this is different because this is keywords, not categories. So this goes somewhere else?
Yeah, when you go to set up the metadata for your book, you're going to pick 2 categories, and then you're going to pick 7 keyword phrases.
Okay.
So you're going to need both. You're going to need the keyword phrases, and you're also going to need the categories. Okay?
Okay.
But you can, so you should brainstorm a big list of what you think you want as your keywords, and then if you don't want to buy Rocket, you can hire someone to process them for you, basically.
How much is Rocket?
I want to say about $100. I haven't looked at the price for a little while, but let's see. It is not telling me how much it is what it's doing. I think it's about $100. That's what it has been fairly consistently.
And people that are also on this in these office hours, how many of you actually own this? I'm just curious if this is something people like always buy or something.
I think I do. Donna does. Stephanie does. Brianna has it in the chat. Joanne has it. Loves it.
Marianne, do you have it?
You are muted.
Attention wandered. Have what?
Rocket.
Do you have Rocket?
Yes, I have Rocket. I did. I finally invested in Rocket and Spy middle of last year or something.
So pretty much everybody has it.
Yeah, it's not that much money considering how hard it is to make those decisions without it. You know, it just, otherwise you just feel like you're shooting in the dark.
Yeah, because I mean, I just think, you know, like the cost of purchasing it versus the cost of hiring somebody, and like at what point that becomes.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, if you're gonna do multiple books, it's something that investing in. I mean, that's always the math to do, right? Is okay, it's gonna cost me an hour of someone's time to have them pick categories and keywords for me, and it's gonna cost that much every time I want to redo them, right? If you want to go in and tweak and play around with things, and you're gonna have to pay somebody to update that each time.
According to Chesson, it's a thing that's in flux that you should be checking back and reconsidering on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think months or so to do a review of your categories is really smart, and to do a review of your keywords as well. And the competition changes drastically depending on who's released what books. And
one of the things that's a little bit annoying about the whole indie publishing world is that there are a lot of people who put what I would deem to be the wrong books in certain categories, and if they get any traction, they can actually attract like books and flood a category with books that have no connection to your book at all. So it kind of taints that category or that niche. And so you have to kind of watch for that stuff. Otherwise you end up being the only like romantic women's fiction in a long list of erotic menage.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like it's crazy stuff. People do
Yeah.
things and they get away with it. I mean, in a way, I think it ought to be more policed because it's irrational. But anyway, that's the thing. You have to watch what other people are doing and how that changes the flavor of a category.
Yeah, and if you are planning to do any ads at any point, like if AMS ads or something that's on your radar, this is really helpful for finding keywords for your AMS ads as well, like finding ones that might be effective, and just the information it gives you about are people looking for these terms on Amazon is very, very useful. So I think, you know, if you're going to do those pieces, then keeping it in your rotation of tools is a smart thing to do. And I mean, always, no one else is going to understand your book better than you do. So anytime you hire somebody to do a thing, it's one step removed from that knowledge. And so if it's hiring somebody where it's not getting done, then you hire somebody. But if you could do and understand it on your own, and that would give you a good feeling of like control over the choices you're making, then it's a great investment to have it for yourself. It is $97 American, so you're in America, so you're good. It's just $97. The rest of us paid the exchange, but
Okay.
yeah, it's a solid investment for the hundreds of hours it will save in terms of figure those things out on your own, especially because I know you're doing more than one book. So
Okay, sounds like I'm going to be buying that. Thank
you're welcome. I was just gonna double check too. I know I asked Dave about a coupon, but I don't think he does coupons. But let me just make sure that we don't have any kind of anything stashed away for members on that tool. Okay. And I'll just reiterate, like, we approach people all the time to get discounts on tools. I have a new discount code for BookBrush if anybody has not yet signed up for that. And we're going to do a special webinar with them coming up as well, actually, that they're going to do just for our folks to demo a whole bunch of the new features and how that all works. So I will keep you updated as we get close.
Oh my goodness, on his site, he says, get it now before it becomes a monthly subscription.
Yes, it has said that for a year, so I wouldn't panic immediately, but he definitely is moving towards a subscription model. So sooner rather than later is a good thing. Okay. Yeah, I don't have a coupon code for that. There you go. Okay. And if you are not, like, if you're looking for anything about keywords or Amazon listings or that kind of stuff, kindlepreneur.com is the starting place you want to be at for that stuff. He does really clear videos. He has a podcast as well. So you could go to the podcast and just listen to the episode on keywords if that's what you're going to be working on next. Or if you're trying to just listen to the episode on categories and see what you can kind of suck up from that, because Dave does a very good job of explaining things, and they're nice and clear. He's very mathematical and strategic in his approach to things and very good with data and numbers. Interesting person to follow.
Somebody asked me just the other day whether he has a side business in like book marketing for a fee, and I wasn't sure what the answer was.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Or if he did, he doesn't anymore, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he has the rocket stuff. He's got his hand in a lot of pies. I met him in Vegas, and he's a really interesting character who invests in a lot of other companies that might be able to pull together stuff that's useful and helpful for the authoring side of things, and writes romance under a pen name as well. So he does a lot, like he tests a lot of this for his own marketing stuff, but his background is actually in the military.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really interesting combination.
He
of
vibrates
things.
up here somewhere.
He does, yes. But yeah, it's a pretty intuitive tool, and I think they do a good job of explaining things and helping you to understand what the numbers mean and how they fit together. And the tutorials are really helpful that he publishes for free on his site. So that's definitely worth poking around in there. And when you're looking for like the list of the top 10 places to promote your free book, it'll be Kindlepreneur that pops up near the top most of the time for anything you're asking about that kind of stuff. And I've always found them to be well-researched articles, and he has actually people at talks to directly about stuff, so that the information is actually coming from the source. It's not just sort of picked from other places on the internet. Diane, you have a question?
Just a super quick one.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have laryngitis.
Oh.
Is his name Dave Chesson, right?
Yeah.
Kindlepreneur Dave? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Just made a note. Thank you very much.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. And all right. So any more questions about keywords and stuff, or shall we go on to Vellum?
I don't have any other questions about this. I guess I'll get Rocket and take it from there. And there'll be something that you're putting in that shows how to go about having Amazon add the other ones. Do I have to have it already published up there, or can I do it ahead?
Do it ahead. You have to wait until your book is published, and then you can submit a request to have it added to the additional 8 categories. And I did post the info to how to do that. So there's 2 links that I posted. One was how to choose the best Kindle categories, and then the one right underneath it is the help topic for how you submit that. And you want to submit that request from inside your KDP account.
Okay.
So once your book is live, the help tab, and then you can submit that request. And if you don't find it easily, or you can't find an article to show you how, then you can just come to the office hours once your book is live, and then you can say, okay, now let's do this, and we'll show you where the thing is.
Great. And just before we move on to Vellum, I just want to make sure I understand this next piece. Once Jackie is complete with the Mobi file, then where am I putting that to get my ARC readers to be able to read?
Do you have BookFunnel?
I don't know. So I should get BookFunnel.
So you have a couple ways to distribute files. If you want to give it out to your ARC readers as a PDF, then you can just email it to them. If you're going to give them out as a Mobi file or as an EPUB file so they can read them on their readers, then you want to do that probably through BookFunnel, because providing tech support on how to do that is not fun. So take a look at BookFunnel. We do have a coupon code for that, which gets you, I think, a $50 discount for a year's subscription to BookFunnel. But it's a special landing page, so you have to click from our link to get that special pricing. So let me just see.
So I don't know if I'm getting just a Mobi file or an EPUB file as well. Is that what I want?
You should be getting a full set of files from her. You should be getting an EPUB, a Mobi, or the way that Vellum produces files shifted. So you get a Kindle-friendly file, which you then upload to your account and download a Mobi if you're trying to send a Mobi out. Or BookFunnel will convert it for you. So what you need to ask Jackie for is all 3 formats. You want the PDF, you want the EPUB, and you want the Kindle-friendly, whatever that is. So you should get a file package.
The PDF, the Mobi file, and the EPUB, and whatever the Kindle-friendly is. Okay.
Well, the Mobi is the Kindle one. So it probably won't be called Mobi yet. It'll be called Kindle, EPUB, whatever in the title. So just ask her for the whole package of all of the formats, and then we can go to the next step at that point.
And that's better than putting it up in draft to digital.
Well, if you put it up in draft to digital, you're making it available to people.
Okay, I can't make that private. Got it.
Yeah, so you don't want to do that. BookFunnel is what will let you send it to people. You can send a link to people for your page, and then they will click on it. There's lots of office hours where we demo BookFunnel. So if you look at those, that will give you an idea of how that works. And BookFunnel themselves have really great tutorials on how BookFunnel works and what it does and how to use it.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so we're gonna do a quick tour around Vellum, and then Brianna has some questions as well about ARC readers and reviews on Amazon. Okay, so let's get rid of Rocket. I'm gonna open up Vellum. And we will take a peek. So when you go into Vellum, you can choose to import a Word file.
So before you start, I'm sorry to interrupt. I did find an old video of you working with, I don't remember who it was, one of the guys on Vellum and showing them how it works. So if that was what you were going to do again, the way you did it, you don't have to do it because I can watch that. But if there's like something else you want to show, that's great.
Well, it was more just you wanted to see different layout options, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think we really focused on that.
No.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Let's go. I'm gonna pull in a book that's not yet a book, and we'll see if that works. We're gonna use Eileen's. It's not been laid out yet, and we'll just put the original one in. Okay. So there are some options when you come in here for each of the sections. If you go under styles, you can see that you're going to choose things for the different sections. All right. So if we look at headings, there are 5 different headings to choose from. Right? You get the one with the squiggly thing here. You can choose that kind of a thing, that kind of a thing, snowflakes, or that. Let me just to a page that has more content on it. Okay. Okay, so if we go into styles here, you'll be able to see how this changes as we go. So you can change the styling on the first paragraph. Or you should be able to. Why is it not changing? One sec. Okay. So this is an interesting example of what happens when your Word document isn't formatted with like chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. It doesn't pull in the formatting automatically, so you actually have to do it all manually. So like this is actually the title of this. Okay, now let's try. First paragraph. This is supposed to be showing a drop cap, and I don't know why it isn't. Anyway, sorry, this is not working the way I had hoped. Let's see if we go print, will it help? Not really. So there are sets of options in here. Some folks, if you work with them for layouts, will give you like, here, you can choose from these 3 options for each of these sections. You can download the free version of Vellum if you have a Mac, and you can actually like poke through these. Some of them, there's screenshots online as well in the Vellum tutorials to walk you through them, but your basic options are gonna be drop caps. Some will have an image or like a little icon, and it'll show you different ones of those. Can you guys see those okay? Is it Too small?
I mean, I can see them.
Yeah, okay. For the first paragraph, you have a few choices for what it looks like. Okay, and it is, I don't know why it's pulling something else from the conflict here. Let me just change what this is here. Put the chapter. There we go. Now it might play. The type of thing you've assigned it to makes a difference in what it looks like. Okay, here we go. So now it's going to actually show us on what that looks like, right? And you choose, there's some choices about font sizes and things like that and type of font that you use that will make a difference. So you have to just talk to the person who's doing the layouts for you. Did you get specific options from Jackie, or like what did she say?
She gave me some options, and then I was like, you pick, because I was like too freaked out about it. And then she picked. But then I was like, some of the things I felt like I didn't know if they were to be changed or not. Like,
which of the things are you wondering about?
So the size of the drop cap, it looked like she gave me two choices, and she went with the larger one, and I was wondering what it might look like with the smaller one, but I don't know if that then changes everything else, so that it's not really an option.
It's more, which of these options you pick. Let's see here.
They're bundled. The drop caps are bundled.
Right. So this
Yeah.
is the other one that I thought might be, but then is that bundled with that title, chapter
Yes.
title? Okay. So
Well,
that's
sort of. The headings you can actually choose different headings with that same drop cap.
okay. And then it seemed like to me that the titles were very light. Like I would have liked them a little bigger or darker, but I didn't know if that was something that was happening.
So that you pick an overall style for your book, and everything else you get as choices kind of flows out from that.
Mm-hmm.
So the book style is the first thing you decide on, and some of them are lighter than others, right?
Okay.
So there are, is it 7, 2, 4, 6, 8, I think. So there's 8 different base styles that you can start
show the
from.
rest of them, please?
Yeah, I'm clicking a second to load.
And the ones that have numbers, they have to have numbers, or not necessarily?
Well, that's just because we've numbered the chapter, but some of them you can turn that off. The best way is if you can make a list of what you want or don't want. So I don't want chapter numbers to show. I do want a drop cap that is 2 lines high, not 3. I do want whatever, and then the person can match that up as best they can, and then just let you know if something does not work.
And every time somebody changes it, do they have to go in and change a whole bunch of other stuff, or it's just?
It all auto flows through the whole book. So you pick these in here, and those styles ripple through the entire book, as long as they didn't manually style anything else in the layout.
Okay, got it.
But each person is going to have their own way of working. So you need to talk to whoever it is you're working with and just see how they handle it. Some people will give you upfront, here's the best, 3 choices for your book, B or C for each of the aspects of things.
Okay.
It just depends kind of how they work.
Okay.
But yeah, and then you're also choosing a print edition font, which can be different from the others. There's only 9 or whatever to pick from.
Right, that was the other thing. It seemed like the title was sans serif, and the rest of but the writing itself was serif.
Usually going to find a mixture. It's usually that the titles are different than the main.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. But yeah, if you look through, like if you're looking online, there are lots of examples of Vellum layouts in their tutorials and stuff. And so you could always screenshot something. If you found something you particularly liked, you could screenshot that and say like, I really love this particular piece of this one.
And Jackie is doing this for me for ebook, but not for the print book, because I want the print book to look somewhat different. And so I'll just have somebody else do that at that time.
Okay. You should still ask for a PDF though, because that's a good thing to be able to give to ARC readers. So even though she's not doing a print book, make sure you get the PDF format. So.
Okay. And for book funnel, it looks like you can do different ways of doing it. So it's monthly, so I can just do it for a little bit while I'm doing the part that I want to do.
That's cool. Yeah. Yep, you totally can.
Or I could just be a first-time author and just do it for $20.
You can, yes, do whatever works for you. There is no right way there. Okay, so there's another Vellum question here. How do you use one book as a template for the next books in the series? Okay, great question. So one of the things you can do is actually your Vellum file from your first book, duplicate it, and then delete the content and import your next book, and it will save all of the settings. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is I actually took screenshots of each of the settings that I chose for my series, and I dumped those into a Scrivener document so that I could see, okay, this is what I chose in each of these areas, so that if I had to match later, I could do that. So it's up to you what makes sense and how many books you're doing and all of that kind of stuff. It usually remembers your settings when you go to put the next book in. It tends to default to what you had before, but not always, and not if you clear your cache in your computer or if you swap devices or whatever. So it's a good idea to just make sure you've written down somewhere or taken screenshots of what you chose. And if you're not the one who's making it, then you could ask for a list of just, can you write down which book style we used and whatever else, so that you've got a reference note to give if you work with somebody different down the line. But yeah, the easiest way is just to actually duplicate your file, rename the copy, delete the content out of it, and then put import your new Word document into it with your...
It deletes all of the content in your front and back matter too?
Well, you choose what you're deleting, right? You highlight the sections down the side and then delete or don't delete. So I always leave the front and back matter, and I just delete the middle, and then I go in and I tweak the front and back matter to match up as I need it to.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. It's a big time saver to be able to just pull it in and
I bet.
run with it. And then also sometimes you'll find, like if you're doing that duplicate and change, you'll find you want to tweak something, and then you'll want to go back and change it in the original as well. Like if you're adding a new book into the also buy section, or if you're changing your call to action at the end, you might want to do that on all your books, not just one.
Mm-hmm.
Or customizing which book to include the free chapter of, depending on
Yes,
more than one series, or
Mm-hmm.
you've got a newer one, or whatever you're promoting at the end.
totally. Okay. Great. And questions that Brianna had also. So dealing with negative reviews on Amazon. Okay, so this is a good and interesting and important conversation. Do you contact the reviewer in a positive way, or is it appropriate to ask your mailing list to press the helpful button on the positive reviews to bring more attention to them? So if it's a negative review on Amazon that is accurate and actually about your book, best practice is never reach out to that person, unless the one and only exception, if they said there's a lot of typos in this book or something like that, and you've gone back and fixed it, released it, then I have heard the occasional author say, I went back and I put a reply that just said, Thanks so much for pointing that out. It's been corrected, and just make sure you download an updated version if you'd like the cleaner copy. But normally never engage with a negative reviewer. Not ever. It
That's
does
kind
not
of
end
what
well.
I thought, but I had read an article, I'm not sure who wrote it, saying how authors should take more action on this and contact people, just say thank you, for the criticism. It helps me as a
No.
writer, but yeah.
Nope.
Um, Most of my reviews at this point are from the hidden gems thing that I participated in, and so it's like 2/3 were positive, so it hasn't come in completely, and there was 1/3 of some kind of a little bit, well, I won't say anything, but there was some stuff that was not very helpful.
So if it's,
Reviews are
and so
weird, so you can't control that.
yeah, no, I mean, it's good to have some reviews that are not 5-star and 4-star, actually, because it gives more weight to the ones that are good. And depending on, like, was there any consistency in what was in the negative reviews, or?
Not really so far. So
Okay.
it's a lot of mixed information so far. Like some people, well, the one negative review, someone just said boring exclamation mark.
I got one of those. Welcome to the club, Brianna.
Yeah. Yep.
And then there was some consistency that people thought it was too fast paced, and quite a few people didn't like that there was a vegan in it. And I was like, I didn't even really think about that because I'm not a vegan and I don't promote veganism, but I was like,
Yeah.
I shouldn't be reading this if I'm a vegan or if I'm not a vegan. And I'm like, okay, well, I wrote it and I'm not a vegan, but
Yeah.
No, if I read a
that
review,
out, it'll be like one line.
I read a review that complained about something being a vegan, I would not pay attention to that review, because that would tell me something more about the reviewer than it really would tell me about the book itself.
That's generally the case, right?
Yeah.
If something's way out of left field, it says more about the reviewer than it does about your book. And just, it's fine.
Yeah,
It means
those ones
you're a
you
real
just let
person,
them
not a
ride.
bot, right?
Yeah, exactly. Those ones you just let them ride. They added to the number of reviews at the top, and so that ultimately you're going to take that as a win.
You're better to have sort of like more reviews that are mixed than none at
Yes,
all.
absolutely.
So I should maybe consider hiring them again.
The other thing is also, if you get a review, because sometimes reviews come in and they're like, this character was stupid, or this part of the plot was dumb, and you should go read this other book instead. So some people are actually trying to advertise their own books by like negative reviewing other authors' books. So if you get something like that, you report it to Amazon. If the review is talking about something that is not your book, report it to Amazon, because there are some like totally generic comments where you can tell I've never read the book. And so you can just click the submit button to report it and say why, and then they will often remove those. And so
It's kind of like guerrilla marketing.
yeah, exactly. So, keep an eye on it. If there's something that seems wrong or off or whatever, then like don't hesitate to report those, but don't engage with the people themselves. Like don't reply to that review, and do not engage with the people directly.
Yeah, it seems like too there was quite a few that focused on it being shorter, but it was a novella, and it was a fairly long, I think, for a novella, like 30,000 words. So
yeah, you'll get those. I constantly get people complaining that the books are short. Just take it as a compliment, because they wish there was more to read.
yeah.
They would, if they didn't like it, they would not complain it was too short. Right? So you will get those. And all that does is that people who are looking, if they hate short books, they won't read it, and that will save you a negative review in the future. So it's not actually a bad thing to have those. It just helps you filter your readers to the right people. If they're pulling your star ratings down to like, below 3 or 3 or under, then not ideal. And you want to look at like, why is there a majority, or why are so many lower reviews coming in, and then think about adapting for future books. But
so far it's just gone slightly below 4. I don't know as the process goes on if it's going to get dragged down further, but I don't know, it just seems like when I look at other books in Amazon, they all have all 4 or 5 star reviews. And I'm
No,
No, they
If you look
don't.
at the ones that have hundreds and thousands of reviews, you're gonna see a statistical curve, and that's actually optimal. So you want them all, the some ones, some twos. Obviously, you want more fours and fives, but
yeah.
if it averages upwards, then it's all good. My favorite 3-star review
And
was from some lady that said, this was a really interesting and well-written book, but there was too much swearing and sex. So I took it.
yeah, exactly. So one of the things to look at is at the beginning, you don't have your own review crew set up really, right? And so as you build your crew, those are going to be your devoted fans and the people off your mailing list who love your stuff and read whatever you send and get all excited about your books. So your reviews are going to skew up as you build your own crew, because those are happy, excited people about your books who are totally engaged and in your world, right? And so at the beginning, it's harder. But if you do, like, pay attention and look for trends, because I think there's a lot to be learned from negative reviews, is because that's where your readers felt like your contract with them was a little bit off. So, like, does it say novella clearly in the subtitle anywhere? Like is it indicating the length somewhere that they notice, because people don't always scan to the page count, right? Like, so just think of ways, if there's any way you can apply the information that you've got in there to make sure expectations match. I think not a lot of novellas go through Hidden Gems because you're paying per person who's going to read the book, and so for shorter works you don't make as much money, so not as many people actually will pay for that service. So they do prefer longer. That was one of the feedback.
Did you actually get more than 10, Brianna?
That signed up or that reviewed?
Yeah.
Well, I had 45 people sign up, but I've had about 16 reviews.
That's excellent. I got absolutely nowhere with Hidden Gems.
I was finding it a little discouraging so far, but I signed up for, I guess, because of some of the negativity.
Those are good numbers. I got nothing.
I signed up for Booksprout and 7 people signed up and none of them left a review.
Right.
Interesting. Well, you're obviously more of a better genre fit for Hidden Gems because.
Well, they did say something about that I was sort of in the right genre for some of their readers. So
it didn't cost me anything because I didn't make 10.
I guess that's a good thing, right? I was a little nervous that, it would end up costing me $400 American.
Yeah.
But it was only, was still a little bit of a chunk of money, but not quite that crazy. So,
well, and once you get an established bit of a base, other people are more likely to also leave reviews. And so it does this spiral thing where it just sort of makes it easier for the next batch. And, as people are onboarded onto your mailing list, it's a good idea to have a follow-up thing. Like, this is your free one that people are leaving reviews on. Is that right?
Yes.
So, if you've got people coming onto your mailing list, and you can send them a follow-up email a couple weeks after they've been onboarded to say, just checking in. I wanted to know what you thought of the book. Like, if you've got any comments, questions, suggestions for me, just hit reply and let me know directly. And, if you did enjoy it, I'd love it if you would post a review here, here, or here to help other readers find it, since I am a new indie author. And it just reminds them to do it, and it's like a personal conversation that you're having with them, and it encourages them to email you directly with issues, because then, like, if you can highlight that, like, I want your feedback, and so if there's something you think I should change, I'd love to hear that directly, then they don't feel the need to post that publicly.
Okay, so maybe that's a good idea, because in my newsletter I had been sort of asking for reviews, and I noticed that people clicked on the link but they didn't leave the review. But I didn't have it at the time because I didn't know what it was doing. I didn't have it on the review page, the link. It was just straight to my Amazon.
Yeah, okay.
So maybe there was some confusion there, but from my sales that day and the links matching up, I noticed that people picked up the book again, though I probably already have it if they're on my mailing list, but they did not leave the review. So it's kind of like,
Right.
it seemed like maybe they had an intention to do that, unless they just clicked on it out of curiosity, but they didn't.
Well, if it didn't go directly to the review page, most people will just not bother at that point.
Yeah.
Like, so you want to link directly to the product review page if you can. And also it works better if they have downloaded it. And so if they had downloaded it from you directly or BookFunnel, Amazon does not have a record of them owning that product yet. And so it will say, you don't have this product. Why don't you click and get it? And so that could be why that flow is happening as it is.
Okay.
And lots of people do want to have it like in their actual Kindle library, as well as like if they grabbed it from BookFunnel or wherever, which is good because that also boosts your stats on Amazon. So it's not a bad thing to have them doing that second download.
Mm-hmm.
But then, if you are doing an individual call out like a couple weeks after, it's going to make sure that they got the book, and it's going to give them an opportunity and do a call out for reviews. And then you can just remind people sporadically on the list, like, maybe you think of something you're going to do, like, okay, I'm going to do a random draw of names for anyone. I don't know. Can you say, Marianne, I don't know if you know about this, or Joanne, can you say like anyone who sends me a link review or a screenshot of a review they left, I'll enter in a draw for something? Because technically you're not saying leave a review to get an entry.
Yeah, I don't know.
To
That,
your
like,
list or to on like Booksprout or where?
No, like on your own mailing list, if you send a message to your readers that says like, if you've left a review, let me know and I'll add you to this prize draw or whatever.
I don't think that's technically, you're not paying them for the review or compensating them directly for a review. You're just creating a bit of a incentive.
Yeah.
I don't think that would contravene Amazon's.
Yeah. There's a really good video actually on the Kindlepreneur site about the rules for what you can and can't do as far as the Amazon terms of service with your review stuff.
I often ask people to send me a link to their review just so that I know it happened and I can share it with people and, just try to make it friendly. That way I kind of keep tabs and maybe motivate them to actually follow through. Doesn't work very often, but I try.
I'm just dropping into the chat a link to the Amazon review rules by the Kindlepreneur guy. So that is worth a little watch, as it does kind of dive into some of that. And you had also asked Brianna for some help of what questions to include on an ARC sign-up form.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still on the fence as to whether or not I should have that, but after just going through this little process, I kind of feel like maybe I should. I don't know, maybe not, but if I do, I really don't know what to ask on a form, or I don't know if there's any templates out there.
I mean, you can get a sense if you Google, there's a few samples that you can find online, but I mean, the basics, you're going to want their name, their email, you're going to want which platforms they are reviewing on. So give them a multi boxes to check. So BookBub, Goodreads, on.com or CA or whatever, like you can either have that like a fill in your country, or you can do a checkbox of the 5 most popular. And then if it's other, say which one you're on. You can ask like, are you wide or in select?
For the novella is wide.
Okay, so then you can say you've got your other platforms as well, like iBooks, Apple, whatever. So that's, I mean, the basics is really.
Mm-hmm. So there's nothing in there.
You could ask them like, how long in advance do you need to read a book to post a review? That would be useful information to have. Like if everyone says, oh, I need 2 weeks, and you've only thought you were going to give them a week, then that might help you in terms of informing.
So would you include anything about, asking them if they've left a review on your work before, or if you have? I mean, in this case, I would have had the novella out already, so this would be the next book, just to, any way to kind of try to figure out who those sort of
Yeah, you could say
slanderous people are.
yeah, you could say like the final step in this process is for you to email me. Bye, Diane. For you to email me at this address with a screenshot of a review you've left on a previous book.
Okay.
And then you can take a look at it and see how you feel about that.
Yeah, I don't know how far I'll get with this, since, I've asked, about the ARC team on my mailing list before and only had like one response. But I was thinking maybe if there's a link, because they seem to click on stuff, that maybe if there's a link to something,
Yeah.
click on it and think about it. So.
And you should say like at the top of your form what you're looking for, like what are your expectations of the people who sign up for this. So like submitting this form commits you to what exactly? Are you just going to ask for ARC readers for each book separately? Because some authors do that, where they'll send out to their list when they have a new book and they'll say, okay, I'm looking for ARC readers for this book, fill out an application, and I'll let you know if you're chosen.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes it kind of exclusive.
So if someone asks me for a link, say if I contact somebody on social media or something, and they say I ask them if they're interested or in an ARC reading, and they agree, and then they say, well, can you send me the link? Would that be the link to this form then? Is that what they're meaning? Or is it a link to a sign up? Or?
Well, if you've asked them to participate and they've said, yeah, send me the link, they're probably expecting the link to download the book. But
Okay.
But if you say like, here's the form, and then, oh shoot, I'm also late for another meeting. I didn't realize what time it was. Okay, so yes, you can send them the link to the form if that's the process you want. You just tell them like, okay, I've got a little form that I get you to fill out so that I have you in my spreadsheet to send the book to. Then you can do that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. All right.
I think I feel a little better now about things.
Okay. Good luck.
Thank
Everybody, thank you for sharing all your knowledges, Marianne. Nice to see you. And I will see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.